Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
Happy Monday, everyone. Patrick here. I'm sitting in the chair for Joe. He's not feeling too hot today. So he asked me to sit in for him, and of course I always will. So Joe, if you're watching, listening, rest up, feel better, buddy. Expect you back on later this week. But yeah, what a weekend, huh? We got an action-packed show for you today. We got a great guest, Jane Marie Auret, Gen Z author. Going to be an interesting conversation with her. Tommy's going to be joining us shortly. That's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. So I always have a good time talking with Tommy. Always gives me something to think about. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, this weekend, crazy stuff. We're going to have an update on Tina. I already see in the chat. Some of you already know. If you've been on social media, we were one of the first ones to bring it to you. Tina is back in the hole. Yeah, something happened over the weekend. She is in isolation right now, in the prison, La Junta Correctional Facility. We'll talk about that in a little bit. We're going to talk about grooming in schools. Big shocker. The education system in Colorado, in America, basically in a complete mess. We're going to hit on that a little bit. We're going to talk about the social programming. And basically, it's coming to a head here in America. If you just look around, the social programming that is what's been going on, right? Like people have been conditioned. The media, social media has won, right? The algorithms have taken over. The party lines have been drawn. People aren't switching sides. People aren't talking anymore. Straight up assaults are going on in the streets of Minneapolis right now. Straight up assaults. And it's all due to rhetoric coming out of that leadership's office. That whole leadership, right? The Mayor Ray, who else? Tampon Timmy boy, right? They say the most outrageous things, vilifying our ICE agents, comparing them to Nazis, all while protecting criminal illegal aliens. Then they work up the liberal women, the Karens, the crazy ones in society, the ones that think they're smarter than everybody else, the bleeding heart white women liberals, who are the ones out there screaming and impeding federal agents from doing their jobs, right? All this is coming to a head in society. You have the federal agents that are out there doing the work, right? I saw it today. I believe there's 1,400 criminal illegal aliens with like arrest records ready to go in Minneapolis that they just don't turn over. They don't allow the agents into the facilities to get out these criminal illegal aliens. So what do the ICE agents then need to do, right? Tom Homan explained this real simple last week, right? You honor our criminal detainers. You give us a call when they're in. We send one agent to go pick up one criminal in a controlled environment. They're done with. But Minneapolis and pretty much all blue states, all blue cities, no. These are members of our community, right? No, these are our community members. We're going to protect them, right? So yeah, they broke the law coming into the country illegally. Then they actually broke more laws because somehow they wound up getting arrested, right? So like, yeah, so they come in illegally, reoffend, victimize the community in which they're supposedly quality members on, and yet they can't get deported because these lefty lunatics that are in charge in all these cities and states are saying, no, we're not honoring the paperwork to deport this criminal illegal alien. Yeah, don't care he raped somebody, don't care they came into the country illegally. Value member of our community. So no, ICE. Right? It's absolutely ludicrous what's going on here. It's absolutely insane. So what happens is these criminal illegal aliens with arrest records now are then re-released into the community that, they are standing members of. And then ICE needs to go out into the communities and then find these people. And it's not just 1 or 2 agents. They have to enable a team, 8 to 10. I have a buddy right now that has been reassigned from the work he's been doing in New York to Minneapolis to aid in the deportations, because that's what it takes. All because these state and local leaders refuse to work with our federal government. Right? Simple. They refuse to work with us. Then they ramp up the rhetoric and the hatred and the demonizing of the ICE, right? It's a boil, boom, Renee Good situation. Boom, Don Lemon thinks it's a good idea and it's acceptable to walk into a church and protest. Wow, can you imagine? I want to know what the outrage would look like on the left if anyone walked into a mosque to protest. I would love to know what that looked like. Islamophobia, anti-Muslim, right? All that. But you could disturb Christian teachings and it's completely acceptable. Think about the messaging that is being put out there. Christians need to stand up. And this is where I get frustrated. Because Christians are good people. The religion teaches forgiveness, love, peace, right? So the left uses those principles that Christians are instilled with from birth. If you're growing up in a Christian household, like you're given those beliefs, they're ingrained in you. And now those beliefs get used against us here in America. We're not welcoming. Think what Jesus would say here. Think about, right? So like they used our good nature, our good feelings, our good beliefs to then victimize us. I can't believe there's not more outrage seeing children being rushed out of church because of this. I can't even envision what I would do if that happened in a church where my kid and I and my wife were at. Because the anger would boil over me, right? ICE can't go into schools. No-go zones here, no-go zones here, no-go zones here. But you could come right into the heart of the Christian faith and disrupt it. There should be enormous outrage. Where is it? Don Lemon is a piece of trash. He knew ahead of time what was going to happen. He was pre-positioned before it. Then he has the balls to go into that church and then talk and try and interview the priest who's trying to talk to his congregation. And then Lemon has the balls. We're going to play the clip later. Lemon has the balls to say that I'm a Christian in that. Like, this is absolutely insane. People should be infuriated by this. But it's another inch that the left takes. And if it doesn't get beaten back, it's going to keep coming and coming and coming. And they're telling you where all this is going. Okay, the calls are out there. Get rid of ICE. Right? We know that's not going to happen now. What's going to happen in 3 years? What's going to happen in 8? Let's say Trump's out. Right? I truly believe if this election rigging is not addressed, the midterms are a wash. Republicans are out. So you're going to have a logjam, right? Trump might even get impeached. Then you're going to have the presidential come up. Election rigging's not handled. Machines are not handled. They will be installed into power. Then watch out. Okay, Biden was the warm-up. Lax of immigration enforcement, open borders, dishing out money every which way, right? That was the warm-up. Just wait till the boomerang comes back. Open borders, ICE will be abolished, and then the American people there'll be no line of defense. So Americans need to wake up, right? Like, this is really happening in our country. And President Trump, every day gets another day closer to November. I know it's January, November, right? Long time away? No, not really. Not really. But, yeah, we're going to cover all that today. So let's put this post up real quick. The first one, I see we have our guest waiting to come in. So we're just gonna go over Tina real quick about what's going on with Tina. So if we could put up Joe's post, Tina's back in the hole, right? Assaulted and isolated. Tina Peters, the 70-year-old Gold Star mother and election integrity whistleblower, has been assaulted in prison, defended herself, and was immediately thrown into isolation, the hole, as punishment. She was assaulted by someone 40 years younger. You hear that? You hear that? Not a fair fight. Not even close. And why is she in the same area as someone like that? Why? Well, that's right, because Colorado doesn't have appropriate housing for someone of Tina's stature. Low-level, white-collar criminal, no history, right? But she has to be in a maximum level 3 facility in Colorado with rapists, murderers, assaults, right? You name it. That's a fitting place for her. This is not justice. This is retaliation against a patriot who dared to preserve election data and speak the truth. A grandmother fighting serious health issues is being tortured for refusing to stay silent. Enough is enough. Demand her immediate release. At POTUS, at Harmeet Dhillon, DOJ Civil Rights Division. And then Tina's website actually put out an official statement about what occurred and basically more details of it. And I'll just like to read that to you guys, and we can put it up on the screen as well. It's dated January 19th, 2026. Last night, Tina Peters was assaulted at approximately 9 p.m. Mountain in La Vista Correctional Facility. Tina was inside a maintenance closet to fill up a water unit when an inmate approached her in the closet and began striking her in anger. Tina raised her hands and pushed the inmate away in defense of herself. Per Tina, the camera showed her pushing the inmate away from her out of the closet. She was subsequently handcuffed, shackled, and brought to solitary confinement. Tina was told she is being charged with felony assault for defending herself against an unprovoked attack. She'll be locked down completely for 24 to 72 hours and held in IDO, the hole, for an unknown period of time. As far as Tina is aware, the inmate who assaulted her has not been charged, slept in their cell last night, and will face no consequences. This incident is clearly a targeted attack against Peters. In all likelihood, it is being used as an opportunity to isolate and harass Tina Peters. Tina has been warning officials that something like this would happen eventually. She was advised to apply for the incentive pod. Tina has applied repeatedly and has been denied despite nothing disqualifying her. Something is not right at LVCF. Tina has minor injuries, but is not seriously injured as of this morning. Can you imagine 70-year-old Tina Peters being charged, another felony charge, for defending herself? Please support Tina. Support her legal defense at tinapeters.us and continue to pray for her safety and swift release. The only official place for official press statements regarding Tina Peters is tinapeters.us/press release. So yeah, that all occurred last night, and she is currently being held. Retaliation? Probably, most likely. Another way to silence her. This is what goes on in Colorado. This is how we operate here in communist Colorado. Right? Those that saw the hearings last week, we all know what we heard. We all are aware of the stance of the state in this case. Self-admittedly that they overcharged her and the jury was not directed correctly on sentencing, right? Just stuff like that. So they know how dirty the system is and how they stacked it against her. Polish, sentence a little harsh. She just got assaulted. She's in solitary confinement. Get her the hell out of there already. Enough of this political game nonsense. She is 70 years old. You guys let perps, rapists, sexual assault, murderers, child porn peddlers out on the streets like they're giving out candy. You can't let Tina out? Why? Because she busted your ass. That's why. Let her out. Enough's enough. The game is up. You know it's up one way or the other. Let her out. Let's get the show on the road. She deserves to be free. She deserves to be free. She does not deserve this. You know it. I know it. Polis, if you're listening, You hear it. Kyle Clark, you may have tuned out by now. Hey, I'm Pat. Play this on your show. Let Tina out. Enough is enough. Communist Colorado, dude. It's absolutely, absolutely insane. This place is absolutely off the charts. But I don't want to keep our guest waiting any longer, so I like to welcome our guest in. Let me tell you a little bit about her first. Her name is Jane Marie Auret. She is a Gen Z author and cultural critic. I think her and I might have something an enjoying conversation today, I'll say the least. She's a mom and wife. She's a writer, literary reviewer, and essayist. She critiques modern cultural issues through English and Egyptian, Arabic literature, essays, and creative writing. She's a literary reviewer specializing in cultural and society analysis. Her themes, she focuses in on mental health crises and existential unhappiness, especially amongst Gen Zers, the digital age harm, screens, social media addiction, progressive groupthink, oh yeah, the hypersexualization of society, the disintegration of the nuclear family. She's also the author of Screens and the Ego. I definitely want to take a look at that because before I got brought into this realm, I was 17 years in education, 10 years in public school out here in Colorado, 6 years as a dean of students. So I dealt with a whole bunch of this stuff here. I'd love to get her take on it. But yeah, I'd love to bring her on. Love for you guys to meet her. So please, let's bring on Jane Marie.
You got Tommy too.
Oh, Tommy's with. Oh, hey, Tommy, what's up, brother?
How you doing?
I did not know you were in. Sorry, man.
Of course I'm here. No, you're good. Yeah, no, as you were going on a rant. Jim Marie, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you? Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes, it's a little quiet.
Okay. A little quiet?
That's not on you. They should be able to fix that.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, no, I first read your book, a little over 2 years ago, and it really is fantastic, and just generally about the idea of I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it was almost along the lines of like window shopping for mental illness, right?
Yeah. It talked a lot about how like culture induces mental illness. Like there are different categories of mental illness, and some of it is like really serious stuff that would have happened 400 years ago. But the rate of people identifying as anxious or depressed is like upwards of 40% of Gen Z. So to say that it's not in some way a cultural product is just ridiculous. And a lot of the ways that we think about ourselves and just kind of like the modern psychological state leads the conclusion that we're disordered. So it just talked a lot about like my personal experiences. And I really appreciated you reading the book before coming on your podcast. So.
Of course, yeah. People always thank me for that. I'm like, it's like what I think of as the bare minimum threshold is apparently like a Herculean task for interviewers. Like, you read the book. I'm like,
yeah,
like, yes. What? Of course. Why wouldn't I? Yeah, no. It like you said, some things 400 years ago, 4,000 years ago, sure would have happened. Paranoid schizophrenia, or something like that. A lot of it, and I see it in myself, and I think me and my brothers probably do the same thing. Is like, yeah, man, like there's a certain amount of the shit that's supposed to happen. You're supposed to be anxious. You're supposed to be depressed about stuff. Like, that's a natural feedback mechanism. It doesn't necessarily mean you need, 19 diagnoses, and most importantly, a lifelong subscription to very expensive medications.
Yeah. I mean, even before you get to the point where you're discussing like treatment opportunities, because the sensations that people are feeling when they ask for therapy or drugs are very real. So I don't want to discount the idea that when someone says that they're in pain, they probably are. That being said, like the development of psychology as like a secular and scientific, a secular and scientific category, shall we say. That didn't start until the late 1850s. The word emotion was not used until the late 1850s. Before then, people used words like passions and affects. And I think that the word empathy entered the English language in 1908. You guys can fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure that it entered in 1908. So the like modern the modern system that we have of like what you're supposed to do to have like functional interpersonal relationships, especially the importance of teaching little girls how to empathize with people, like that literally didn't happen 100 years ago. Like your great-great-grandmother didn't even know the word empathy. She knew the word compassion, and compassion it's used in different contexts, and compassion doesn't lead you to reach ridiculous conclusions like the kind that we were talking about at the beginning of this podcast. So, yeah.
Empathy was coined in English in 1909 by British psychologist Edward B. Titchener, who translated the German term, I can't even pronounce this one, Einfühlung, literally feeling into English as empathy. So, fact check is correct.
There you go. Yeah. Thanks,
So,
Patrick.
what brought you into doing this? What got you motivated? Because Gen Z, you're young. They're not typically motivated. They typically don't write. So,
Pat, you just went full old man mode. These younger kids, they don't. You're not wrong, but no, I mean,
what brought you into it? What brought you into this?
Yeah, so I've been writing for a pretty long time, but the thing that got me interested in this is just the fact that so many people, including myself, were really emotionally unhappy. I basically went to Emory, which is, it doesn't really matter, but it's a school that like Ivy League rejects get into, but it still sustains like a very, very wealthy population. And we were taught, I also went there during the first Trump presidency. So it was at the absolute pinnacle of DEI. And the effects of the groupthink on campus were really, really hysterical, like beyond anything I ever imagined. For example, my roommate, my senior year, wrote "Not all police are racist" in response to something, and like 500 people like harassed her, and her scholarships were openly challenged, and she had to she got dropped from the sorority that she didn't get dropped. She decided to leave from the sorority that we were in, and she like moved out. And the social consequences for saying something so benign were so extreme. And like I at the time was willing to like say privately to her, yeah, not all police are racist, because you can't indict an entire profession, but like the power of the word racism at the time. I had another female relationship with a girl who I really loved, who was also like a really brilliant writer, and we just like immediately connected the second week that I was at the school. So as long as I don't use her name, it's not libel or slander to talk about it, because you can't say false statements of fact about a person. And this is not a false statement of fact, but also I'm not even using her name. So she would take a couple too many pills in public, like non-lethal doses of medication in public places where people would find her. And it was treated as a suicide attempt by doctors who were licensed to treat mental health issues for the entire 4 years that I knew her. And no one had a solution to that. And her like profile must have been seen by upwards of like 60 professionals, and none of them could figure out that it wasn't genuine suicide attempts. And I want to qualify that by saying that if someone is self-harming with medication, they're in a lot of pain. But the type of psychological issues that we were experiencing were just like so not being talked about. There wasn't a vocabulary for what it is. Now I think that there's a term called non-suicidal self-injury, but no one had heard of that before. And it's very, very common among women. Women have more suicide attempts, but they have a less successful rate. And it's because of the pattern of behavior that I was seeing that like just wasn't being treated. I can go on, but those are the types of things that I talk about. I anonymize the people, and then I just kind of talk about why everyone was so unhappy in my book.
Gotcha. And I think I could agree. There's a lot of unhappy people walking around all over the place this day. Politically left, politically right, non-political is still angry, left or right. Like you just feel the temperature rising. At least I feel it. And you just walk around.
Yeah.
It's in your face everywhere we go. And what role do you think social media has to play in all this?
Well, I think that social. Yeah.
Sorry, I saw Tommy have a smile. So
No. I was because I went to the University of Georgia. Number one, you are correct. It is smarter than UGA. We were the stupid kids. But man, I graduated in 2013, and it was just starting to get a little weird then. But it was still something you'd laugh at. You'd be like, yeah, man, those crazy hippie bitches. It was something you'd kind of toss. You could see it, but it was just like, yeah, whatever, avoid them. Man, I can't imagine being in college 4 years after that. That sounds like hell on earth. It was torturous to witness, like, through Reddit. And Reddit's not a great bastion for anything, but through anything. I can't imagine actually being on campus at the height of like orange man bad syndrome. Like,
yeah. It absolutely was. It was like Reddit come to life. So all of the problems that you have with Reddit, yeah. And UGA, you also were in like a fraternity, so you were kind of insulated. I bet that fraternity leaned conservative, but
yeah, that was my first 2 years, and even then, like after that, I was gone. But yeah, no, the first 2 years, you were not aware of the world outside your bubble. It was just, and then transferring to the University of Georgia, not being in a fraternity, but still, I was studying all the time, so I still wasn't really like plugged into campus. But it was at the perimeters. It was like. It was weird that, like, at a party, I wouldn't apologize when someone said, like, Tommy owns a gun. I was like, yeah, I own a gun. And it would be like, do you know what guns do? And I'd be like, yeah, that's why I have it. But still, just to see it rising. And I think about the whole, the non-suicidal self-harm. I remember, and it was in only the way a really good therapist can is like 2 years after my mother died. And I remember she kind of said it, and like at the time I was like appalled, and now I look back, I'm like, no, I needed that kick in the pants. And she was like, is it suicidal or is it like 16-year-old angst? I want to go to bed and not wake up. And I was like, in hindsight, I'm like, yeah, no, sometimes you get that. Where you're like, this world sucks, but you go to bed and then you wake up and it's a new day.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not outright, somebody cut their wrists or something. There is, and that's a hard thing because like you said, it's those people are in pain. Like, I'm not making light of it. Like they are in pain, but it's also not, I don't know. It's kind of hard to thread that needle.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm interested in talking with people on the right because I'm interested in developing a new vocabulary to talk about these mental health issues. So we honestly don't even have the words yet for describing what we're talking about. Like, we're in the process of developing this because we're in the reactionary moment. But yeah. As for what you said of UGA, I wish that I had gone to UGA. The problem with Emory is that it's the children of like at least 50% of that college are people whose parents have like they're actually upper class. Like
they got some cheddar. Yeah. No, Emory wasn't for no.
Yeah, and if all of the because I mean self-perpetuation, like these are the people who end up getting the really, really difficult positions to get by nepotism. Like, I knew a girl who landed Netflix staff writer by 25. I was like, you didn't earn that. I know that you didn't. Your writing was perfectly adequate, but it was not Netflix staff writer by 25. Like,
that's such a piercing. It's perfectly adequate. You are extraordinarily average. Yeah. No, but it is, right? And you perpetuate them, and it's like, what happens? What happens when somebody like myself was like, I remember applying to med schools and I had 96 percentile MCAT, magna cum laude, and I remember I think it was at Miami interviewing with another guy from UGA. I'm still friends with him. He's a black guy. Now, granted, he did have a better MCAT and GPA than me, but I remember him looking at me. We were talking, and he was like, "God, I feel bad for you." I was like, "Why?" He's like, "Dude." This was fall 2013. He's like, white guy, parents are still married. And I was like, yeah. He's like, you're And I was like, yeah, no, it's not gonna work. But like, what happened was like I got into one med school, and they're like, yeah, I didn't care. I disregarded it. But man, that system as a whole, that pattern, right? It's a whirlpool of water going in. It's no two water molecules go through it at the same time, but the pattern's there. Yeah, as that nepotism, be it in private or even worse, the positions at the schools. You're now the dean of interfeminal at online empathy or some horse shit. It just keeps going, and people that don't want to deal with it, like me, you just leave and you're like, it's not my problem anymore. But that rotting husk continues until it eventually it comes into contact with reality. And I don't know, I feel like that's what the last maybe 2 years have been, is it's like finally like a reckoning.
Yeah, I think that it didn't come into reality for a very, very long time. I think that almost all millennials took what they learned in college and like took it into the institutions. And then people finally started pushing back. I don't know. Patrick, were you going to ask a question?
No, I was talking about Tommy smiling, and that's kind of how it segued to Tommy. And no.
Okay,
I got questions.
I didn't know if you had something. Okay.
Pat, jump in, Pat.
I'm.
Sorry.
Jeez. So.
All right, sure.
No, I'm hearing you at the college level, but I'm going to go one step further. Like, these kids are primed before they get to college at the elementary and middle school and high school levels, right? Like the takeover of the education system is a main problem in all of this. And then what you look at now, what's going on outside in real life society, you have supposedly educated people that are literally assaulting and impeding federal agents at every turn because they truly believe they're doing the right thing, because they have been programmed to believe they are doing the right thing. So how do we unravel this? How do we take this ball of yarn and unravel it so we have a straight piece of string?
I think that it probably is going to take women who have the ability to socially influence other women. So let me run back a little bit and talk about elementary school. So I don't remember, I'm an elder Gen Z, so I don't remember pride flags in elementary school, but I know that by middle school, we had pride flags in nearly every classroom and every coffee shop and on at least 1/3 of the churches in my hometown. And we knew that being gay was something like new and exciting and cool. And it was like, I'm not sure if we really understood like the oppression hierarchy, or I'm not sure if I did at the time, but I knew that being gay meant that you had access to your own apps on your smartphone and your own lingo and your own flag and your own new set of friends and your own doctors and your own therapists and your own like physical territories of the USA. And at the time, especially if you're like me, like a Caucasian female, and you feel like deep self-hatred for the like problems that your civilization caused other people, it was a really easy way to like show solidarity and to be cool and interesting. So I started identifying with the gender neutral name Jamer when I was in 6th grade, and that didn't stop until my senior year of college. And that was just me following other people. So so sophomore year, I was towing the line. Junior year, I got into a couple conflicts, mostly with other RAs who got really upset with me for saying like very benign, not groupthinky stuff. By the way, so I was an RA in college, and we were all adults over the age of 20. And my coworkers didn't like another girl, so they created a group chat called and her name. And then the entire point of the group chat was to just list all the reasons they disliked this one girl. And it didn't occur to them that that was in any way unacceptable. They thought that it didn't occur to them that that was harassment. It didn't occur to them that that was inappropriate. Not a single person involved in this group chat thought to themselves, hey, like maybe we shouldn't have a group chat solely dedicated to bashing another person. So that like level of social development is occurring in tandem with all of the social issues that you hear about Gen Z. Like it's really messed up. And so my school had an office of respect, which was Emory had at the time an office of respect, which was like wrong think court. Like it was a parallel court, operated without burden of proof, but exercised real disciplinary power over people.
Like re-education camp almost.
Yeah. It did. It had that. And all RAs were taught to like, our job was essentially to invite kids into campus culture. So we were supposed to signal all of this woke crap. And I didn't want to signal it. So that's when I started getting really upset. And I was like surprised. At the time, I also broke up with a guy who was really strongly involved with campus, but I was surprised with the immediacy and the weight of the ostracism. And then by senior year, like I really had to like carry a social burden. And now I'm in grad school with a bunch of writers, all of whom, besides me, identify as liberal. And at this point, I'm 27 and I don't really care anymore. So I've been writing like politically charged stuff. And allegedly, like a girl had to drop the class because she couldn't stand to be in the same room as me. I had reports to the provost, and they had to start an internal investigation because I had a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk at the GA, an optional moment of silence for Charlie Kirk. And then after internal investigations opened something, I contacted Fire and TPUSA, and the provost rolled it back. But it was like a huge issue. The good news is that West Virginia University is like beholden to a conservative state legislature. And also, I think that if you make a report, they have to open an investigation. So I don't know how much like the school should be liable for it. But I do know that the reaction of the students was insane. Like you get a lot of pushback. And also just like the girls don't like me. Like it's just they think that I'm mean. And it really doesn't matter how nice I am as a person. If I say something conservative, then I am put in the mean category. And that really isn't going to change until like some of the girls decide that being conservative isn't the same as being mean. Like you need like someone who's in the group and is able to exert social influence to flip that switch. So
that was something that took me like a year or two in college, was to realize that, because I remember when I first transferred to the University of Georgia, I would like try, just for no other reason than I guess like social lubrication, was like, oh, I'm not gonna push any buttons. Like, you know, in hindsight, I'm like, these were like the first instances I saw of like blue hair and stuff, and I was like, oh, I'll just, sure, what do I know? Like, yeah, but then as it went on, you slowly started to realize, like, I mean, it was like hunting Jews. Like my dad worked for like a poultry company. It wasn't his life dream. He grew up poor and he's good at sales, and so he got out. But they were all hardcore vegans. So they were like, did you know Tommy's dad worked for this company? And it was literally like, what is this, Soviet Russia? But even that was, well, one, so you realize that there's no amount of being nice, and then that's the quickest truth you can get to. You just pull that Band-Aid off and just go, yeah, f*** off. But then there was also another thing where a lot of this stuff like could be avoided. So for like me, it didn't really matter what parameters there were or what wokeisms or whatever you want to call it, because it wasn't something like organic chemistry where it was like it didn't matter what your gender, like if you were stupid, you were eviscerated. And for me, I always looked at it like it's why I love working out and not playing sports, because I get the wins and I'm responsible for the loss and nothing else. And you could still find little pockets of just ruthless like Darwinian merit, where even in fraternities like fall 2009, yeah, I guess Obama was just in his first term, there was still some like formalities going into college, but then nobody had an iPhone. It was all flip phones. You get into a fraternity and you're getting hazed. They take your phones and be like, all right, faggot. Like, yeah, you want to report something? Go ahead and report it. And we'll tell the school that we're looking into it. But then they would, I mean, quite literally beat the shit out of you. So it was like this, like, in this, like, this bubble of like, yeah, none of the norms mattered. There's still these little fiefdoms. And so you could still find those fiefdoms. So even at something like University of Georgia, you'd be like, well, these people are crazy. You could still find a decent proportion of people that were more like you and just avoid it. But at a certain point, the cancer spreads into everything. Now, I left, but I was finished. I can't imagine going into, I don't think I saw a pride flag until like my senior year of college, let alone high school or middle school. It gets to a point where I don't know what you would do. Well, I don't know what I would do. I should clarify. Because for me, I just got to leave. And then it was over. I don't know what other way I would react if it hit a point where it had saturated every office, I don't know. I would probably go insane. Well, actually, I know what would happen. My interface with the reality was getting banned from iTunes and YouTube and Twitter and Facebook and Snapchat. Like,
which is crazy for providing information that a doctor was disseminating.
That, by the way, the stuff I was saying now gets regularly tweeted by the CDC. I just want that to be clarified. So yeah. But even then, like, that was still, man, like, what if you're in college? What if you are trying to go to med school? What if you are trying to go to law school? There's probably a pretty big incentive to be like, dude, I'm just going to shut up. I'm $80,000 in debt. My only way out of debt is to go to, with this higher profession. I bet that's a lot of it too, is going along to getting along. But even that, it's still just, you're still taking out a loan to pay for a loan to pay for, not literally, I mean, in terms of like nobody dealing with the insanity of this. And then finally, when the wave finally breaks shore, it's kind of where we are now. And it's a CNN reporter, and a bunch of commies kicking a door down into a church because there was an allegation that a member of the church was an ICE official, and the ICE officials are going there to remove Somali immigrants who are openly defrauding you. Like it's the end game. It's the natural state. Like this had to happen. I don't know where I'm going with all this, but this had to happen.
No, it's the reality, and it goes back to, I believe, just people have been programmed over time. And they're entrenched now. The left side is entrenched. Anything that has to do with Trump, immigration, anything, we have to do the opposite of. We're going to stand in the way of, right? So, like, it's constant this. We're going to have more Renee Goods, unfortunately, because I have some videos for today's show that you still have women that are legitimately parking their cars in front of ICE agents, impeding them. Like, they're pushing the envelope. And I just don't understand just enough with the bullshit, and just start arresting everybody. Like, for real. Like, if I was to go park my car in the middle of Arapahoe Road right now and stop a county sheriff from driving east or west along Arapahoe Road, I would be cuffed up and my ass would be eating pavement within 30 seconds of them telling me to get the F out of my car. Like, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. So enough of the bullshit. Let's start cuffing these assholes up, give them some mental health supports in prison, maybe get them deprogrammed over there, give them some re-education of what America really is. America first. Hello.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Tommy.
It's
common sense.
No, it's kicking the can down the road. I just remember back to it was like my best friend, so one of my best friends at the time, just dating this crazy, just as far left as you can get chick. And I remember it was like after like one or two parties where I tried to like appease them, what you were saying about being nice to these women. And I realized it didn't work. And she'd be like, I think it's offensive you own a gun. And I'd literally just be like, shut the fuck up. And it would be kind of like a clash. And I remember told him, I was like, hey, dude, you keep tiptoeing around this. Now, granted, they're married and he's still balling shit. But like, not good. But like, this is the natural end state of just not dealing with it then. Yeah. The natural end state is no one ever said shut the fuck up. No one ever called you and said, hey, you're allowed to be vegan. That's all well and good. But you're in my house and you're drinking the beer I bought for. What are you doing? Shut up. Like, we're 20. What are you doing? It eventually spirals to when nobody checks you throughout anything you've ever done. The natural end state is you get shot in the face because you tried to run over a federal agent because you have never been told no. And it starts at a party. And if it never comes to check you and you've always been right and your self-righteousness is the jury, the judge, and the executioner, eventually you hit a point where there's a federal officer and you hit him with a 2-ton car And his natural and legal reflexive thing is to shoot you in the face. Like, that's on top of it being just messed up. It's also inhumane to not dole out repercussions and natural reactions to that.
Yeah, I agree. I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
The problem that I have is that Trump's rhetoric would agree with us, but the enforcement is not as strong as the rhetoric. And as long as you have this inflammatory rhetoric without any equal enforcement, then you're going to get what he's getting, which is a bunch of radicals who are responding to the rhetoric without actually believing that anything's going to happen to them. I do believe that hitting someone with a car is probable cause to kill them. And like, I don't think it's that difficult. I don't know the exact. I didn't watch the video of Renee, but I did see what it did to campus.
It's. But even then, it's like, and yeah, some people are, people celebrating her death is just as weird as people celebrating Charlie. I don't want this. I'm not saying that you said it. I don't want this woman dead. Why would I want that? What kind of? That being said, it's like, hey man, what did you think was gonna happen? Like, I remember when we were pledges, we broke into the neighborhood fraternity house and we like stole a trophy or something, and we got fined. But I remember the president of our fraternity calling us in. We thought he was gonna like give us, brownie points. He sat us down. He was like, if you had come into my house, and he like, it's the first time I've ever seen pistol. He like pulled out his 9mm. He was like, you did this at 2 a.m. I would have shot you dead. Is it justified? Is it probable cause? He's like, it doesn't matter. I just would have done that. That is, again, it's like, this is where this is going. To what you're saying about Trump not enforcing it. It's either, there's 2 reasonings. He is either a wet noodle and he doesn't have the balls to do it, or much darker, they want this to keep bubbling over because no one in power, or the permanent government or the national security apparatus, the firmament, whatever you want to call it, they have never, ever not enjoyed some sort of crisis because what's the end result of this?
More power.
Federal power. Somebody has to come in and clean it up.
Yep.
It's either he's a bitch and he doesn't want to enforce it, or you just gotta imagine he's looking. He's like, this is good. A couple. Yeah. And I like Trump. I voted for Trump, but it's like I can see him being like, we need a couple more Renee goods. We need a couple more.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I have no evidence to support this, but I thought that he purposely picked bad people for the 2022 round so that it would boil over, so he was more likely to win his presidential candidacy.
Probably.
Because it was so bad. Who would, didn't Dr. Oz run in Pennsylvania? Endorse? That's bizarre to me. There was so much momentum in Michigan for Greg Abbott, I think was his name.
He's Texas.
Oh, sorry. Yes, he is Texas. I don't know. There was this one guy who had a bunch of momentum, and Trump purposely picked the other person. And I remember thinking at the time, did Trump do that so that we would be super unhappy and vote for him in 2024?
So if we're looking at what is more appealing than being the commander-in-chief of the largest military that has ever operated on the surface of the planet? Yeah, it shouldn't be a surprise to any of us, even somebody like myself who voted for him. No part of me ever holds him out of the realm of I don't put anything beyond him. Let's be very honest. You do not get to that point. Through all of human history, it doesn't matter who you are, you don't get to that point of almost godlike power to be at the helm of an empire, ancient Greece through now, whatever. Yeah, it shouldn't be a surprise that they're maybe willing to, break a few eggs.
Yeah, that can all be happening, man. At this point, Nate, unfortunately, yes, right?
Yeah.
And then us as just regular folk, we either watch it or we get sucked into it, like some of these other clowns who actually then become the pawns or the useful idiots in these situations that then ignite the flames. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And this is just one part of it, right? The social engineering is just one part, through the media, through the social apps, right? But you also got the programming of the kids through the school systems. And I want to talk about this for a minute with you guys, because I think this is going to hit pretty well with us. The books in the school systems, absolutely out of control. I was in education for a long time. Okay. And 100% there are grooming books in the public school systems, especially out here in Colorado. I 100% have seen them, can attest to them. They exist. Secrets I can keep from my mom, stuff like that, talking about erections in pants. Like I was in a PD one day and I was bored. So I was staring at the bookcase shelf and I saw the title of the book and I'm like, that's interesting. Why do we have this book here? And I pulled it out and I was flipping through it and I saw a random page where it was talking about getting erection while kissing another boy. Dude, weird stuff. It happens. They're out there. Dude, it's out there. So I want to put this up. If you don't mind, there's a couple of things in the rundown that I think are going to hit well with both of you right now. And it's about writing. It's about what's going on in the schools. It's about the education of kids. It's what's being put in front of them, right? And kids are at such a impressionable age in school, and they look to please. Like majority of kids look to please, and they look for the affirmation from the adults in the room or that's in front of them every day. So when you have teachers and school administrators that are preaching certain things every day, equity, LGBTQ rights, transgenderism, right? If you're teaching all that stuff to the kids about society, the kids are gonna actually agree with the teacher because they want the affirmation of the adult in the room, and then eventually they want the affirmation of the peers in the room, right? We were talking about the social part of it earlier, right? If you're part of different groups, right, you get, and it's a real thing, especially when they're younger in the middle school level, which I was in before I said this was the greatest country ever, and then I lost my job. So yeah, that was a true story. Put my name into Google. It's a quite fascinating read. I'm in a federal lawsuit right now with my former school district over it. All true, Tommy. All true, brother. It's up there, baby.
No, I know, but I look at it, and when you think of validation from the authority figures and from your peers, I mean, yeah, I don't think I might have pushed back in college, kind of pushing, but even that was a rarity, and that was probably more so because I was drunk. And in terms of actually standing my ground and kind of having the balls to stand, it probably wasn't until I started the podcast. So at 30, yeah,
It's hard
by then to go along to get along has done its damage.
Yes.
And that entire thing and then eventually it's like there are these moments where you then hit reality. It's Renee Good, right? Or it's me getting banned from all these things, or it's you being like, yeah, I mean, I think America's honestly just the best, and they fire you. These are the things that are happening now. It's like ideally you would have braked and come to a stop, but you're not at a point where it's like, man, I hope the crumple zone in your car works. I hope the airbags work. I hope your seatbelt, because that's where we are. And it's James,
yeah, brother. Right? And in the schools, you have these books that are out there. Joe put this post up. Damon, it's A7 in the rundown. But he put a repost up of someone that tweeted about the book that her young child has in an elementary school. Okay? So if we could put that up, if you take a look there, it's so bad. When my daughter got this scholastic book at her elementary school in Colorado, and the principal did nothing to remove, told me kids don't understand this kind of thing. I knew it was bad. So now when we go into it, here's an excerpt of the book that the mom shared, and we're going to actually go into this author a little bit too, but I definitely want to get our guest opinion on this. I took the shell in my hooves. I got the most memorizing feeling of warm, tingly bubbles going from my tail to my horn. That's the feeling of magic. I can feel the shell sparkle in my scales, I said. Oh, a tug on my tail surprised me. I never felt that before with any other magic shell. What is it? Ruby asked. Are you okay? I nodded. Yeah, it's just. Look at your tail, Flash said. It's stretching out. Way, way, way out. Flash was right. My tail was getting longer. Pink glitter came out of the multiply shell until pop! Another lucky sprung right out of me.
What the
Okay?
What the?
Okay, time out, Tommy. Hold it. Time out. I want the expert's opinion first. So I want to go to our guest. Tommy, hold it. Jane Marie, you're a writer. What's your interpretation of this? And what are your thoughts?
I mean, obviously the interpretation is sexual. I don't think that a modern writer would ever write that without knowing the connotations of sexuality. I don't know. I guess that the fundamental difference is that people who believe in, like, I don't know, like anything natural is good, don't have a problem with introducing the concept of sex early to kids. And I guess that it's like ideologically motivated to put that in there because they're like, hey, I want to introduce this concept to you that's a very good concept for you to know, but I'm going to like make it in kid form. But there's no way that someone wrote that and they didn't understand what they were doing.
Tommy, go.
Gonna say a much easier response to that, but like, no, it's but I mean, like, dude, no, that's the thing. Is like, no, you know what you're doing, and then it gets to. So put it this way, like a guy I've had on the show a ton. I think he's been here, Basil Baz, right? He's about 70, retired special forces.
Badass mofo.
Coolest guy there is, and I got through the podcast. I got a fundraiser thrown for him in November. So G Marie doesn't know. This guy had him and a bunch of other hardcore special forces guys have been rescuing trafficked children since 1993. They average about 12 a year, which is, you know, they'll say that's not really a dent, but it's worth it to the lives. They go and they straight up just go and kill pedophiles and take the kids. And what Baz always says is he goes, and Baz is like a deeply Christian guy. He's like, there is madness. He's like, I've only seen it like a couple times, but it's someone, and you know this because they take no precautions to cover their tracks, right? You go and see, you know, they're in a trench coat touching themselves at the edge of a school property, and you go to their apartment and it's covered in feces, and you're like, this person's insane. This person's genuine. Yeah, you got to put him in jail, but this person's insane. Versus when you catch someone who is a pedophile, they go to very great, because they're very intelligent, to cover all their tracks. Now, why are you covering your tracks? Because you know what you're doing is beyond reprehensible and is not accepted by anybody. So, if you have to go in some weird way and talk about sparkle, and it's clearly talking about an erection and ejaculation, if you have to do that, and you have to dress it up as magic, you know what you're doing. There's the weird sex ed in like 8th grade where we literally had a male teacher came in, he like made all the boys do it. He's like, get all your questions out now. And it was just understood, but it was, you know, it was anatomy, it was erections and sex and, you know, birth and everything. But there was no like weird dodging around it. It was quite literally like an anatomy textbook. And, you know, God bless him, he had to deal with a bunch of 13-year-old dudes who were all like, oh. Nobody tried to dress it up as unicorns or mermaids. If somebody's doing that, man, that's as Baz says, the mentally unwell person, they're the person who's naked outside of a kindergarten, covered in their own feces. God bless, they're insane. You know what the evil person is doing? They're the person. What everyone knows the trope. What do? Yeah, want to come to my van? I got puppies. I got candy. Why? Because if you said, "Hey, I'm an adult and I'm going to rape you," they would logically run away. If you're doing that, if you're going to these lengths to publish a book about this, and then go, yeah, well, it's not exactly, it's a magical story. To me, that is the everything else is window dressing. I'm like, that's a maliciously competent pedophile, and they know what they're doing. There's a reason they're doing that. There's a reason they're not doing it in front of your parents. They're doing it. Hey, it's a book. It's a mermaid. It's a sparkle. So that's why I held up a gun, because I'm like, to me, that's the answer. But like, yeah.
These books are in the school system, in the public libraries, at the elementary level. What function, what purpose do these books have at the elementary level other than to corrupt and to groom our children behind our parents' backs? There's going to be more. There's more with this author, by the way. Please continue.
I'll take this one. So the first thing I want to say is that in a completely sincere context, someone who I considered a friend told me, and I quote, I feel bad for pedophiles because they didn't choose their sexuality. She said, I feel bad for non-offending pedophiles because they didn't choose it, and it must be really hard to have those temptations. And I never forgot that, obviously, because the mental state that you have to be in to say something like that is like the archetypical and toxic empathy that people have been going down when they're programmed for a while. There's this idea that you don't have control over your sexuality, that it just kind of happens to you. There's this, even if you don't control your sexuality, you do control your sexual actions. And I think that step number one in grooming is equating those two things, so that if you can't control your sexuality, that means that you can't control your sexual actions, which means that if you were born with an impulse, anything goes. I think that that person and that person's like the woman who said that out loud was a little bit more of a socially awkward female, and she believed the social programming that she had. So I don't think that a lot of people who believe that would openly say it that way, but she did, and it was honestly kind of I don't know, like it was like authentic. I believed her when she said that. And I guess that she thought that it was good. So to answer your question, what purpose do they serve? They serve the purpose of perpetuating their own ideology. And like, I'll qualify that by saying that all children's books before also like perpetuated an ideology, right? Like I take out books from my church and they talk about God, right? For my baby.
Right. And
they're extremely ideological because they're talking about Jesus, because I care about Christianity. So to say that a book is ideological is not like there's really no writing that's not ideological. It's not like even if you take like some like Japanese folk tale, like it's gonna have some sort of moral truth in it. Like there's nothing that can be read outside of a cultural system just inherently. So the question is, which cultural system are we going to allow? And that cultural system is embedded in that book.
Yeah, and that's in public schools in Colorado. I wonder if you can go to the same library and check out a Bible. I wonder if that... I know, but I know. I work out here. I used to work out here, brother. I know what it's like. But it gets better. The author of this book... Sorry, Tommy, go ahead.
So what I was going to say is, that was going to bring me to a point about you cannot find an ideological list absent. You could, if you really want to be a philosophical dazzle, you could be like, even, writing without an ideology is an ideology, but you're never going to find that. So you then have to ask yourself, okay, it seems like this is going to go one way or the other. You then have to sort of make peace with what are the least damaging systems. And I was going to say earlier, like, it was almost like a trope growing up and going to private Catholic school. And, it was always just like, yeah, I get it. Like, sex is bad, blah, blah, blah. And like, I look back at it now and I would much rather take the discipline we received, because at the very least, they never outwardly told us you couldn't be gay, but it was just in general, it was like a Christian thing, like, hey, you're wearing uniforms, you guys aren't going to sexualize each other. Is it perfect the way you do it? No, but I look back on it and it's like, well, what was the end result? Because we're agreeing that there is no vacuum where this doesn't exist, so there's going to be an ideology. None of them are perfect, but I think the one or any of them that are more of like, respect your elders, is the Pledge of Allegiance propaganda. You could argue that, but again, find the country they're not going to be that. It's in general. So can you point to what is the best one? Probably not. What you can maybe do is put a box around what is the worst one. And no matter what the ideology or the religion is, or Judaism or Christianity, or, I'm an American nationalist or a Russian nationalist or whatever, all of these are on different levels of scales and stuff. The one you could maybe circle would be the one that, in a quite biological Darwinian sense, is the one that corrupts and interferes with regardless of morals and ethics. Just as I'm speaking from a biological standpoint, you're looking at the one that destroys or decreases the ability for the species to propagate itself from generation to generation. You don't have to have a moral or ethical bias about certain types of grass. Some of them just grow better. Like, and you could argue which one's the best grass. I would go, I don't think there is a best one. I think that grass, though, that one weird one that eats its offspring, I think maybe in a biological sense we could argue that one sucks. At the most basic, like, just what is cellular life propagation.
It's a super good point. It's
like,
a brilliant point. It's like, yeah, that's another thing. Like, underneath a lot of liberal beliefs is this idea that we live outside of reality. And sometimes you don't need to make a moral argument or a culturally relativist argument. You can just be like, hey, this system works better. And you want to know how we know? Because it's been working. So, yeah.
By virtue of the fact we are here. It's like, I'm sure, you know, I'm a white Christian dude born in 1990 America. Like, yeah, I have my biases. Does that mean every other country in the history of the world is bad? No, I'm sure you go to 1820s Prussia. You're probably going to find some good values about working hard, about respecting your elders, and blah, 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 blah. The one that would be bad is the one. What are the things we look back at and mock? The child sacrifice ones. Oh, the Mayans. Yeah, no one really cares because they were slicing kids open by the tens of thousands and spilling the blood on the city. We go, yeah, no one's perfect, but hey, that one's kind of like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But stolen land, Tommy, you're on stolen land. Easy with that.
Yeah, conquered.
I'm just saying what I hear. I know it was conquered.
They can steal it back if they have the ability. They can't.
We have no right.
We don't need to go down that route.
I have one more point. So this is about homosexuality in ancient Greece, right? So we know that there are a lot of Greek pots that show like homosexual sex. And Greek law had a codified system that like allowed men to mentor teenagers, and it was called pederasty. So this is documented, right? And often this is used to be like, hey, you know, homosexuality has existed throughout history. But the thing is that in Greek law, the laws of pederasty were never ever equated with the laws of gamos, which was an actual marriage. So this idea that we can have gay marriage now has actually no historical precedent. It didn't have a historical precedent in ancient Greece when they were originally writing laws about this. The laws of marriage were intended for procreation between a male and a female. The laws of pederasty were like a mentoring thing that sometimes married men did on the side. But you wouldn't give a like infant child to two men bound in pederasty in ancient Greece. And that's on record. So I just wanted to make that point.
Yeah, that is how I, like, aside from like morally and ethically, to me, I'm like, no, like unequivocally pedophiles should be executed. They are a cancer that you need to remove from the system. But I try to break it down. I'm like, if I wanted to just go full psychopath and try to remove all the ideologies and frameworks from my mind, Christianity, America, North America, male, Irish, remove all the labels. Purely from bio, I always think of the definition in genetic evolution of fitness with a capital F. Fitness, it wasn't the number of offspring you had, it was the number of offspring you successfully provided for and raised to the point of their own production of offspring, because then it meant you could kind of tap out. By that, it's so essentially how many grandkids do you have? And you hit a point where, and that's no moral dressing, no ethical about, are they Orthodox Christian? Or no. We're just this applies to algae. This applies to a finch. This applies to just that. From the purest, most just detached, calculated way, it's that. And so if you want to appease them and they say, well, you're a Christian, you're an American, okay, I will meet them on the playing field of there is no objective right and wrong. We're just going by the unfolding of laws and physical matter and the fundamental forces in this universe. By that stake, you are still objectively incorrect because your thing is not promoting propagation of fitness. So you can call it whatever you want. You can call it demons. You can call them pedophiles. You can say you're a commie. You can call them all and that they're all true. Or you can just meet them on their own thing and go, I'm none of those things. It is still objectively incorrect. You're not you're shooting the offspring.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. And with your propagation of fitness there, Tommy, physical, but also mentally. Like I'm going back to this book because I'm an educator. So I'm going to hit this. I'm going to hit this. These books are in the public school system for kids to read, right? Tommy, let me ask you a question. Let me ask both of you guys a question. What do you think is acceptable for having, what is the average, what percentage of our students do you think should be reading at grade level in elementary and middle school? 100%, 80%, like population, how many people, what do you think should be reading at grade level in middle school?
The exception of mentally disabled, 99.9.
Okay.
Yeah.
You sure about that, guys?
Yes.
You sure? Okay.
What percentage of adults should walk on 2 feet? Other than the ones who have some sort of self-destruction to like deteriorating disease, I would say, walk. On 2 feet. And use your hands.
I got you. So we get this type of literature in books.
All right.
We believe every kid, unless they are physically or mentally not capable of reading, should be able to read at their grade level, correct? We all agree on that, right? Okay. Out here in Colorado, 44.8% of kids read or exceed reading at grade level. 44.8% either read or exceed reading at grade level, grades 3 through 8. So give me the numbers that can't read at grade level.
56.
Bingo. You're looking at 56% of the, and this is related, by the way, I could talk this lingo. This is related to CMAS testing out here in Colorado. CMAS is measuring the writing and literacy rates of kids through standardized tests. So this is standardized test scores through the state of Colorado that I asked Grok to pull for me. Okay? Almost 60% of the kids in the state of Colorado, grades 3 through 8, cannot read at grade level, but yet they could have this bullshit in their library. Make it make sense. It's there in the library because they want the degradation of our society. They want to destroy our kids' minds. They don't give a shit if our kids can read or write or not, because what the ultimate end game is, they don't want a society of educated kids. They want a society of activists that are uninformed and then will march to the tune of the beaten drum of their left-wing gods that don't know their ass from the elbow. They want a clue of mindless idiots. And this is what's going on in schools. Literacy is not important. Literacy is not a focus. Kids that don't have basic skills get constantly promoted to the next grade. They aren't held back, but they're also not offered or mandated to go to remedial classes during, off school time, summer school, right? I equate this. Students cannot close the gap on their own. Okay? Let's be honest. If you're in 4th grade and you're reading at a 2nd grade level, you will not close that gap on your own in the same amount of time that a regular kid will, right? It's like a fat person trying to lose weight. You need to put more time and more effort in to losing weight. So kids that are behind at the grade level, they need to actually be given more time and more attention to reading. After school and preschool interventions that no district in this state of Colorado wants to give to kids because it would actually benefit them. And it goes against their political agenda. I'm passionate about this. It bothers me a lot. Education is one of the few ways kids can actually change their lives if they actually get a quality education in a tough upbringing, right? Education still can open doors. I'm a product of that. I grew up in a single mom household on welfare, without a father, lived in a three-room apartment, not 3-bedroom, 3-room. I could walk that thing with my eyes closed right now. It's 8 steps to my mom's bedroom, 4 steps to the kitchen. It's crazy how small it was. And I should have been a statistic, but I wasn't. Why? Because I got an education and I changed my life, right? It happens. But the system now is setting these kids up to failure later, where you get these Karens out in the streets actually protesting against their own self-interest because they'll be the number one target of a rapist, you know what I'm saying? Of a criminal illegal alien looking to score a quick buck. Why? Because honestly, you're a white woman in the street. You're a target because you don't know how to fight. And we all know that. and chances are you're not going to protect yourself and you're not going to have a gun on you. So yeah, I'm going to snatch your bag, I'm going to smack you, and I'm going to take you in the back, I'm going to do this, this, and this to you. Oh, and you actually want me to be here? Thank you. Sorry, but...
No, don't be sorry, dude. It's a good thing to be passionate about.
But this is what's going on in the education system, and I'm just, it's disgusting.
Yeah, it is disgusting. So I have two things to say about that. One, part of my contract requires that I teach either English 101 or English 102. And the quality of writing, and I'm not trying to boast, like I'm not that successful of a writer, whatever. And I don't have a lot on my record, and I'm average in many, many ways. The quality of writing that I am grading when it's not used with AI is actually what I could have produced in 6th grade. And I know that they had a hard time. They were in I think they were in 8th grade when COVID started. So the most awkward, when you're trying to socially develop the most, they were completely remote. I'm sure that a lot of them didn't care about school at that time. I didn't care about school when it was online. I can't imagine being a 13-year-old. Yeah, it's really, really bad. We're having conversations about where to put a period at the end of a sentence because they don't have the gauge to figure out when a sentence ends. It's really, I wish that I can't give any specific examples because of FERPA, but
ask them to address an envelope and write a letter to somebody. Kids don't know how to address an envelope.
No. Well, I mean, the thing is that they probably won't be sending a lot of mailers out in their life. They will be writing emails, and they actually can't figure out where to put a period at the end of a sentence. Because it takes
commas get in trouble too then?
Yeah, commas. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I mean, it's it takes years. It takes years to figure out how to break up a thought. That's a very complicated cognitive process that you have to start when you're 6 years old and finish, as an adult. But you're supposed to have finished it by the time you get into college. And it's just, there's no gauge whatsoever. The idea of doing research, reading comprehension, I don't think that they've ever been asked to read a book, a physical book from beginning to end. And yeah, it's just, and also college really doesn't have a way to respond to AI generated papers. So I'm quite sure that 50% of what I grade is AI. And I'm not going to accuse 50% of my class of using AI because then they would get all upset and it would cause a huge kerfuffle. But yeah, the quality of thinking is really, really declining, and it's really serious. And I agree with you. Why would people in charge of education be okay with putting out, you run a factory, you want your products to be good. If you run an education system, you want the people that come out of your system to be educated, and they are okay with these abysmal results. They're just completely apathetic to the abysmal results.
Yeah, very well said. And hopefully something changes. Jane Marie, where can our audience check you out? Where can they find you?
If you'd like to get in contact with me, you can go on my website. I have a little contact form. I don't have any social media.
But we do have you do have a website though, correct?
I do have a website, yes. And I have a little contact form. And I also, if you wanted to, buy the book, I'd really appreciate it. It's on Amazon and on Barnes and Noble's website. So
no, it's good. I want to touch on to what you're saying is my buddy who was pre-med, I remember I was asking him, I was like, I can take all the practice tests. I'm like, I'm knocking out biology, organic. I was like, reading comprehension, man. How do I get that grade up? He goes, so what you're gonna want to do is go back in time 20 years and then read one book a week. And I was like, and he was like, you're screwed. And I was like, all right. And okay, but you were both saying about kids, so be it a factory or be it, so you have to, there's some theorem, and I don't even know what cyberdynamics is, but I just know it's just a theorem in cyberdynamics, but it's the purposes of a system is what it does. And so if you look at something and you go, so they can't read, okay, so we don't want them to read at all. Is that no, they can read the pedophile stuff.
Bingo.
Okay. So if none of the logic matches up, you go, no. It's doing what it's supposed to do. It's just not what you think it is. In the same way as one of my little brother, I think he went when he was in college. There was this small college town. I always use this example. This tiny little college town. There's this giant store called Piano Liquidators. Now, a piano store itself would be out of place in a college town. Piano Liquidator, they're moving such a large volume in 2015. They all used to joke that's money laundering, and then years later got busted for money laundering. And it's like, if none of it adds up, it's doing something else. And so factories, well, I don't get it. Why is American Steel or Alcoa, let's go back to whenever NAFTA was passed. It doesn't make any sense. They're shutting down all their factories, all their employees, these Americans here, veterans and, just American citizens, and they're all poor, and they got these towns are rusted out and there's nothing left. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Well, it does make sense if you go into what the purpose is, and the purpose is to outsource. And it doesn't matter if you make a shit product because profit margins are up. It's not right, but you have to understand they're not stupid. There's a reasoning beyond that. But I don't get. Why would you open a Piano Liquidator stores in this place in Maryland? Well, it depends. Are you stupid? Do you think they're selling pianos, or do you think they're moving bricks of cocaine? And the latter is what they were doing. So you have to look at this and go. So they're not incompetent. They know how to drill a message into your head. That message happens to be it's okay to get an erection with an adult when you're a 6-year-old. Regardless, it's still a message. So they're not incompetent. They know what they're doing. Now, the message should be, here's how you break apart a sentence and prepositions and, Newton and whatever, and, the moon goes around, whatever. They're not incompetent. They're evil, but they're not incompetent. So that's how you have to look at these. That's how I always look at it. I'm like, they're not stupid. They know what they're doing. And then lastly, back to the Darwinian fitness thing, this stuff isn't always immediately prescient or obvious or self-evident on the surface. And by that I mean, like, let's look at the Soviet Union. Like, yeah, backwards shithole, sure, but for 45 years they were the other superpower on the planet. Number 2 on that's not a bad, but that's actually a pretty incredible position. Now, what they used to do is what the KGB would do is they would, take your foot soldiers and you'd flood them over to the United States. And let's say you threw 10 over or whatever the number is. And you would want them to infiltrate anything they could. You aim really high. We want you to get to the Department of Justice. Sometimes it was, we just want you to get into the library system in San Francisco. It was whatever it was. And it didn't really matter. Now, people would get here and they would defect, or they were just stupid and couldn't put off. But every once in a while, somebody would get in perfectly. They would, Emory or something. They'd infiltrate it. And they'd get in and they'd do all this, and they'd orchestrate it beautifully. And it's objectively incredible. And what the KGB would do is they would bring that back the one guy that succeeded, so we'll say 10%, the 1 out of 10, because he did the job. And what they would do is they'd bring him back to receive a medal at KGB headquarters in Lubyanka and execute them because they showed themselves to be the only person competent. Now, what does that mean? Now, you should look at that and go, what do you mean? They're competent. This is give them a raise, give them a whatever. No. Because the purpose of a system is what it does. The purpose of the Soviet Union was not to build a long-lasting civilization. It was power at all costs. So you have to ask yourself, is what they're doing stupid because maybe my frame of reference is incorrect? Now, what if your frame of reference is to you're in a shithole communist society and there's a limited amount of resources and you want to be at the top table? Yeah, I would execute the next most able. Oh, that guy's smart enough to pull something off. Kill him. Like, that's what I would do if that was your goal. So that's kind of my soapbox on that. The end.
Gotcha. Jane Murray, any last words for our audience? How do you see this playing out? Do we get back on track, or do we just keep spinning on the hamster wheel?
Pat, future reference. Use do you have any closing remarks instead of any last words?
Fair enough. I'm still learning, man.
I know. I've been doing it for 2,000. Just as a.
You hit 2,000.
Any last words?
No, that's funny. Yeah, I was going to say a little bit about why so many women are interested in identifying as another gender. And I think that my hypothesis, and there's not been a lot of studies on this yet, but also the studies are not solving any problems or like, really a lot of the studies can be discounted because if you're in power and you're not solving the problem, like if you're in power in the APA and you're not solving the mental health crisis, then you can be disregarded because your ideas don't work. Okay, so my hypothesis is that women who look at pornography are not attracted to it, and then they conclude that they are not attracted to men. And I think that that's like they talk a lot about how pornography affects men, and they don't talk about how pornography affects women. I think that it makes them not want to have sex at all, or think that they're a different gender, So that's my 2 cents on that one. Another thing is that a lot of people in Gen Z are being raised by gender non-conforming people. Like there's like moms out there. Like in my personal circle in middle school, knew 2 people who had more than one of either moms or dads, or one girl who had 4 moms because she was adopted by a lesbian couple who divorced and each remarried. So she had 4 moms. I think that this idea that like you are raised in a Christian household and then you come into college and you get brainwashed, like it honestly, like it can happen like before school. Like it primarily happens through school because public school is a major institution, but it's not just public schools that are doing this. Like pretty much all women who believe that they are empathetic and don't have another moral system like Christianity are operating according to these new age beliefs. So that's my closing remark. Thank you so much.
Absolute mic drop on that one. Left me food for thought there. Never thought about that first part of it because you always hear the pornography being associated being a men issue, but fascinating.
I'm not attracted to this, therefore I'm not a
fascinating point of view.
Yeah, and what a way to do it with kids or something. Well, I'm not attracted to but I wasn't when you're 6, you're not attracted to anything. But
right.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as somebody who has read your book, it legitimately is good, and I highly recommend it.
Thanks so much, Tommy.
And thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for joining me. I know Joe wasn't in the chair today; he wasn't feeling well, but thank you for still coming on and just dropping and sharing your knowledge. Completely impressive, so impressive. I would love to talk to you again. I don't know if you feel the same way, but I would love to have you back on.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'd love to be back on. Thank you so much, Patrick.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You have a great day. Wow, guys. And
Bye-bye.
Tommy, you're sticking around, right, buddy?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Well, dude, where'd you find her? She's a rock star.
I read her book in late 2023, 2020. I've done almost 2,000 episodes, so sometimes like the origins of where I was recommended her book, I think. It legitimately is I'm not beholden to anybody. I don't have to say it's a good book. It's a fantastic book. And she's smart as shit. Yeah. You should read her book because it's very interesting because, somebody like me who's, I was kind of, born in like the, conservative, like Captain America mold. Like that's just how we were raised. She was like very left leaning, and it's impressive when she talks about just how much her mind changed. And then when you confronted these things, how quickly it was shot back down. It's because you very rarely see, like you said, kind of coming out of that poverty. You weren't a statistic in that same sense, very loosely as a just broad idea. That's how our book starts. You see her going, wait. This isn't about doing the right thing. This is about, calling all cops racist or all white men are rapists. And say, well, that's not true. It's I genuinely, and it's not a very long book, but I actually really would. I think you specifically, Pat, would like it.
Yeah, no, dude, she follows my arc. I came out here, I was like, I didn't like what I was seeing politically, but I always aligned left. Bernie Sanders was in my head, right? I went to Bernie Sanders rally out here 10 years ago,
Yeah, I
can't believe I did that.
I voted for I was 18 when I voted for Obama. Yeah, no, it's whatever.
Can't believe.
You're an adult. You're adults with free will. There's nothing wrong with free will. There's nothing wrong with changing your mind.
But it took me moving to Colorado to make me realize I was a conservative, like crazy. But it took me moving out here, like getting involved in the education system, right? So when I was back home in New York, I worked at Holy Cross High School, all boys Catholic high school. That's where I went to high school. So I went back to my old stomping grounds, become a teacher. That woke shit wasn't there. It was, you came in, you did what you had to do. That was it, right? That was it, plain and simple. The woke shit wasn't there. I come out to here, and in my first PD as a new teacher, I get this picture, and I'll find it for you guys. But I get this picture put up to me, and I'm sure most of you've seen it. It's 3 kids looking over the fence at the baseball game. You ever see this one, Tommy? And they kind of describe what equity is.
Quality,
Yep, and then you take the kid that's up the highest. You got to take his boxes away to give to the kid that's down the smallest, so they could all see over the fence. And that's where I'm like, what are we talking about here? So we just knocked this kid down to lift this kid up, and that's what equity is. Long and short of it, that's what equity is. Equity is redistributing the playing field, which is taking shit from other people and giving it to people that don't have shit to balance the playing field. That's what equity is, long and short of it. I didn't understand it when I first saw that picture. Like, that picture bothered me. And then I started getting into the white supremacist stuff, white man bad equity part of it, right? All that stuff starts getting dumped on me. And I'm a dean, and I'm dealing with gangbangers, drug dealers, kids that don't want to go to school, kids telling teachers on the regular, refusing not to go to class. But the district is promoting, this is when I was not at my district I am under litigation against, this is my district prior. Their equity, they're teaching us that the kids are behaving and acting this way because of the systemic oppression that they have faced. And they blame it on the whiteness of society. And then when you look to actually hold kids accountable, like have them actually like carry a pass in the hallway, or actually like go to the cafeteria when they have an off period instead of just walking around the hallways pumping music, couldn't do that. Because I was not welcoming them to the space, because I was actually setting rules and expectations and boundaries on appropriate behavior. Dude, public school system is shot.
Yeah, I mean, I think about, somebody like you're on welfare. My dad was extremely below the poverty line, and he'll be the first to tell you, he'd be like, there are people who are hurting, and there genuinely are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm a conservative guy, and I'm absolutely like, yes, some people are, and they need 100%. No part of me is like, nobody gets help for it. But when it gets to a point where it's not about, hey, they don't have any, hey, give them some, powdered milk or something. When it's not that, when it's reaching all the way up into, in general, this is a bad movie because everyone there is white. Well, then you start to see what it is. It has nothing to do with equity. And like the pedophile, what a surprise. They didn't come out and say, we're going to destroy society. You present it as something that pulls at the heartstrings. You want to get the kid in the van? You got a puppy. They got cotton candy. You never come out and say, I'm going to rape you. No, you do that. So in the same way, and it's what they have to do, right? Because just militarily and geographically, it's 2 oceans, it's the impregnable fortress, the military is massive. You can't get it. Okay, well, if you want to go against it, what you have to do is subvert it culturally, because you can't beat it through bullets and tanks. Then you have to do it culturally. So the next thing is, once you go down that flow chart, you go, if you were to do it culturally, would you come out and say, well, we can't fight you guys, tank for tank, but what we can do is subvert you? No, you're not going to say that. You're going to say, but it's equity, but it's equality. Yeah. They play. That's what a demon does. Is they play at your heartstrings, right?
Yes, sir.
I need to find the meme. I'll send it to you.
And they dress up the language too, and they use the language also.
Yeah, but there's a it's not really a meme. It's just like a chart, and it says kind lie, nice lies. And it's, and on the x-axis, it's quality of whatever the situation is. Your life, your weight loss goals, the GDP of a nation, whatever the thing is, micro to macro. The kind lie, it's very nice for a little bit, and it's these little, you feel a little better, and then you get worse. And you feel a little better, and you get worse, and you get a little bit. The other one is unkind truth. And it sucks, and it hurts, and you get angry. Then the quality goes up. What are unkind truths? Hey, shut up. Tuck your shirt in.
You're fat, lose some weight.
Hey, man, you know what? My brother died in 2014, and I put on like 70 pounds. Then for 11 years, I yo-yoed up and down 20 pounds. I could never, what really got it? It was around November 2024. I was like a couple times in a row. I'd be like, I was like trying to flirt with these like chicks that like found me through the podcast, and I realized, man, they like when they liked my voice, they liked who I was. But as soon as I would start like for there, I realized I was like, yeah, no, it's probably pretty obvious that I've got an extra 70 pounds. So you know what finally got me to lose 52 pounds last year was going, man, I hate not being able to get attention from women.
Yep.
And you know what? It doesn't feel good. You know what it did though? I dropped 52 pounds. Like, hey man, that stuff works. And that's where you see that nobody wants the unkind truth. It hurts to hear to say, hey, these people you are defending are the same people that are defrauding you. You took a bullet to the face defending Somalis that are actively frauding you.
Yeah. And
unkind truth.
And now Minneapolis is just off the rails. You saw what happened over there during the weekends? How tensions are just ratcheting up. Don Lemon going into church. I want to play that clip.
I saw that bit. That's all I saw. I stopped looking at it because I was like, I don't.
Oh, we got some clips, buddy. We're gonna go over some things.
Oh, Lord.
So over the past weekend, Minneapolis has been doing Minneapolis 2020 type things. Not as bad yet, though. Not as bad. They're not burning buildings. Yeah. I know yet. I know we still have long. And it's been cold there, right? So the weather's doing something here. It's been cold, right? It's not type riot weather in Minneapolis yet. Maybe some warming fires, but it's not riot season yet. It's too cold out there. It was -7 I saw this morning.
I think there's a reason that they haven't completely cracked down on it. And this isn't my original thought. This is some of the intelligence guys I've had on before.
Mm-hmm.
They go from a tactical point of view. This energy, this was going to be used for the midterms, and what Trump and co might be seeing is you're making them. They're going in now. They have to, and try to burn them out now. Now, is that true? I have no idea, but that. I don't know. It's because all these things are happening, all these coordinated things. This doesn't happen without money. This doesn't happen without organization. This doesn't happen without. This stuff isn't organic. It might be that they're going now. I don't know. And it's going to be kind of hard to sustain this level for another 8 months. So that might be the reason why. Doesn't make it right. Doesn't make what Trump's doing is right. But I think that's probably what it is.
So over the weekend, CNN former hack Don Lemon and company organized a freaking protest inside a church. Damon, let's cue this up. C1. Let's take a look at how they actually go into a Sunday service because they believe the priest was pro-ICE or a worker of ICE. So all bets are off.
Yeah,
all bets are off.
Just for the record, today's January 19th, 2026.
Mm-hmm.
I would not be surprised if at any point we see this is going to break out into private citizens shooting back or the protesters shooting at ICE. I don't see where else this goes.
Buddy, just wait till later in this. We got another clip to play. Yes, sir. Let's play it, Damon. Yeah, going to church in the morning with that going on around you with your kids, buddy. Imagine.
Yeah, no, it's an escalatory ladder, and which makes me think that the Trump administration is letting this happen. They want it to get worse.
Before it gets better, or just wants it to get worse?
I think, now granted, I voted for Trump and I tend to like the current, back to the whole what you're talking about with Jean Marie about there is no such thing as lack of ideology. I saw a tweet the other day that I think nailed this more succinctly than anything else I've seen. And he goes, I've lived in a police state my whole life. We're making it my police state, meaning that there is no such thing as a world without government overreach. I would rather have the federales throwing out retarded Somalis as opposed to, kicking down the doors to home and school meetings for, parents who say it's normal to, have a wife and kids. I don't think that there is a way that this doesn't keep going, and I think that that's probably what the Trump administration is doing. Is they're looking at this and they're going, "Let it get worse. Let it get worse. It's not enough that there's fraud. Let them start kicking down." Because how else? Think about like the things Trump did in his first term, right? And what Trump's doing in this term, I don't think he could have pulled off in 2016. Just the outright, I think people would be like, that's a little too hardcore. But after seeing 4 years of Biden, you have people that are just like, yeah, I don't care. Fix it. Do whatever you got to do. Kidnap Maduro. I don't care. Get the fentanyl deaths down. I don't care. And we're seeing it, right? I don't care how you do it. Send the Marines to the southern border. Button it up. I don't care. There is some truth to going, you have to get more people on board to go. So why wouldn't that logic extrapolate to the point where it's not just enough that we're going to throw out the illegals who are frauding the system? People are going to defend to the death the illegals who hate them and everything they stand for. Yeah, I think that's what we're seeing. And it's probably going to keep going so that when something does happen, I imagine it's just my prediction is we're going to see some sort of sizable ambush, not on one or two. We're going to see a real headline thing. We're going to see like 10 or 12 ICE agents get killed or something. That's what I think is going to happen. And this is all bad. I'm not, this is just what I think is going to, if I was a bad man, I think that they probably want something like that. Because if you have that happening, I think that's when you see any conservative who might have been on the fence be like, fuck, literally don't send the National Guard and send in Delta Force. I don't care. Now that's evil if you're to let that happen. But I feel like that's probably what they're doing.
Yeah.
There's a reason.
Understood,
we're clearly
buddy.
able.
Yeah.
We're able to go kidnap the president of another country and take 0 casualties. But we can't crack down on Minneapolis. Well, you can. So then why aren't we? Well, there's a different goal. Piano liquidators. There's a different goal.
Yeah. And then you have Don Lemon interviewing dude, this is so...
Now, he's retarded. Now, he's
so
a
out of
idiot.
control what's going on. Just like watching that just made my blood boil. Because it's their right? Like they believe they are rightfully doing what they are allowed to do, which is anything against God or Christians or on the right.
And you and I are placeholders for just average conservatives in the United States. You and I aren't radical. We're both just conservative dudes. The anger at the opening of the show you had, that's real. That's what most people are feeling in their living rooms. Now, you don't see it because they don't have podcasts, but you have a lot of people going, yeah, I don't care if you send in the National Guard. Look at what they're doing to a Sunday service. I don't care. And that's the purpose. I think that's what we're seeing. Let it get worse.
Take a look at Don Lemon. I got to give this priest all the courage and all the props in the world for handling himself the way he did. Let's roll it, Damon.
What do you think of this?
I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship.
But there were folks who will say,
I have to take care of my flock.
okay, but listen, we live in there's a constitution in the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest.
We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me, though.
We're here to worship Jesus.
Yes.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why we're here. Okay. That's what we're about.
Don't you think Jesus would be understanding
we're about
and love these folks?
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them as a
No
Christian?
one is willing to talk.
Okay.
I have to take care of my church and my family, so I asked that you actually would also leave this building.
You don't want us to chronicle what happened?
Unless you're here to worship.
I'm always worship. I'm a Christian.
We're here to worship.
Yeah.
We're here to worship. Okay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Do you believe that piece of trash? called himself a Christian in there, badgering this man in front of his congregation while they ambush his service. Did I miss anything there?
No. And again, the feelings that what I just had and what everyone else, the feelings you feel when you see that, this is intentional. They want you to see it. And I don't mean that. I don't mean the left. The current administration wants you to see that. And you know what? The big picture, I can't even say I disagree with them. They want you to look at it and go, yeah, I don't care. Destroy it.
Yeah.
Destroy what they're doing.
And then you got him up there.
Happening.
He's up there telling the priest not to push him. The dude's invading his space, total ambush, just wants him to give him 2 inches.
There's a reason it keeps going. Let it get worse. Let it get crazier. You can see what they're doing.
Well, take a look at this, buddy. You talking about neighbors wanting to shoot, this, that, and the other thing. Damon, let's go to C4. We're going to skip to the third one. Let's go to C4. There's going to be a liberal man guarding his neighborhood. I wonder if you saw this clip, Tommy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did.
Yep.
You live in the neighborhood? Yep, this is my block, this is my area. I don't go into other people's neighborhoods and try and intimidate them. I protect my people.
Are you giving out your name?
No, I'm okay with that. Our neighborhood's showing up.
You guys had a lot of people out here, right?
At least 30 or more.
Yeah.
40 or 50.
That's pretty good for a quick turnout.
So yeah, man. Tick, 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 tick. And I thought Dems were against gun laws.
I'm all for owning a gun. Hey, good on them. Good for them. You're not protecting your people. You're protecting a group of people who are here illegally. They are defrauding the American taxpayer. It's not just that they're here illegal. It's right because the straw man is he's protecting immigrants. No, he's protecting illegal immigrants. Okay, well they just want a better life. No. They're here and they're on welfare. Well, they might need welfare. No. They're defrauding the people with fake daycares. Okay, so they are illegal and they're defrauding the people and on welfare, but still they're just no, and they're sending it back to Somalia. Okay, they're just sending it back to they're sending it to Al-Shabaab, the terrorists.
Al-Shabaab, yeah.
Every step you go into, every argument of decency and understanding is out there. They're not just immigrants that are illegal. They're not on welfare because they need it. They're on welfare because they're defrauding. They're defrauding and they're sending it back. And they're not even sending it to mom and dad. They're sending it to terrorist groups. You couldn't have they've just struck out XXXXX. So the guy you're defending, you are objectively not defending your people. You are defending aiding and abetting a foreign terrorist group. That's not hyperbole, by the way. That's not Fox News pearl clutching. That is definitionally what you are doing. And what's going to happen is, and I can tell you this, you can call it your people, you can call it whatever you want. The federal government does not care. They're going to shoot and kill you. And I'm not in defense of that. But it is what it is. You don't have to be a Chinese communist to look at Tank Man and Tiananmen Square and go, hey, morally and ethically, I'm on your side. That being said, that tank's going to run over you. You don't have to like it. You don't have to support it. You don't have to like it. The federal government's going to shoot you.
Yeah, but there's going to be a layer before the federal government gets involved, and that's going to be the kinetics where it's civilian against civilian. Straight up shootouts are going to happen.
Which I think the Trump administration wants to happen.
Because you are having pro-Trumpers, people that support the administration, showing up to these anti-ICE protests, right? So they're showing up. The temperature's rising. Jake Long got brought into the mob this weekend.
They want it to happen.
One of his supporters got cracked over the face with a flagpole, got opened up. Right? It's just constantly where it's eventually they're going to draw down on each other.
Shooting. Yeah.
Yep.
That's what they're doing.
They're going to draw down on each other.
That's the only way this stops. It's not going to stop. The end point is when the civilians start shooting at each other. That's most probable. Next, slightly less probable, they're going to shoot at ICE. And what's going to happen is then they're going to send in the Marines. That's what's happening. That's all of human history, by the way. That's just what happens. Escalation until the power comes in. It's just what it is.
And on the daily, ICE is surrounded by bullshit, and they're dealing with garbage when all it takes is just Minnesota turning over these criminal illegal aliens that were in the jails to turn them over instead of releasing them when they get arrested, right? It's a simple transfer thing. They just don't want to work with the federal government. You cannot fundamentally have a country anymore where the states refuse to cooperate with federal authorities to eliminate violent offenders. You can't have this.
So you need a precedent for a federalized arm to come in. which is going to be some kinetic act.
And you got yes, and you also have these useful idiots on the left. Some of the politicians, useful idiots. All the people on the grounds are useful idiots. But they're stoking the fuels. They're stoking the fire. They're stoking it, and they know exactly what they're doing. I want to show you this video. This video is from a lady named Kalea Berg. She's running for Congress out in Minnesota. You want to see how she spends her day, Tommy?
Not really.
Yeah, you do. C5, Damon. Let's see it. Yeah, you do.
So we're out in the community being patrollers and observers, just had an interaction with ICE, pulled up alongside my vehicle, rolled down his window with his face mask on, waved at me, and then did this, I see you. They like to play games. We're moving on to check out some other vulnerable community spaces. This is what we can do. Got my whistle. These are what our days look like, friends.
Now, I've gone on the record before, and I will again, that I don't think women should vote.
She's not voting, man. She's running for Congress.
Well, that's it. Because where is this? Where is any of this? Why? How come you can't patrol a community at the southern border? Why can't you do that and go, there's a disproportionate number of kids being raped and kidnapped near the southern border. This is part of our day. We're going to, and, the cartel members drive up to us and give us one of these. That's noble. Why aren't you doing that? Because it's performative. Because you don't give a shit. This is all theater kid energy. If you were in a fascist dictatorship, you wouldn't be able to post that video. There would be a million Renee Goods. You'd be shot in the face. What this is performative. We're out here and we're just, we're really taking care of our community. You are quite literally defending retarded cannibals who are here illegally, taking your money and sending it abroad to a terrorist group. I don't.
Facts.
You can't be more wrong. There's like levels of nuance and gray area. Well, they were doing this and they were kind of doing that, and they thought that. I get most of life is that. This is comically wrong.
Take a look at this next clip. Like, you think these people would have learned their lesson with blocking the roads with Renee Good and what happened to her? You got some more white liberal women blocking roads. And yeah, this is what ICE deals with on the day-to-day, folks. Let's roll it. What are you supposed to do there, Tommy?
Me personally, if I'm the president, I would legitimately start using live ammunition. And I'm not kidding, because you have to walk it all the way up the escalatory ladder. What are we preserving? We're preserving the Republic of the United States and the good it brings into the world and the force that it is. And there's nature pours a vacuum. You have to go all the way up the escalatory ladder of what you're doing is you're saving Western civilization. Now bring it all the way back down. I would do that, but there's also a reason I'm not in power. What they're doing is they can't do anything because technically it is just a woman with a drum, which is why they're waiting for it to get worse until they shoot at ICE so that they can send in the military. That's what all of this, the church, the drum, that's what all of this is. It's all here to instill in you a feeling of what the
Yeah, I agree with you, man. And it's not, you can find it all over.
ICE to get shot at.
Yes.
They want ICE to get shot at so that they can bring in the power. It's just
yes. But then buddy, I'll go further than you. After that happens, we go kinetic, right? Let's say when we lose the midterms, then Trump's outed president, then ICE goes away. So you get the kinetic from outside, they come back into power. Oh, ICE can't be around anymore. Look what they've done. ICE goes away, open immigration, no enforcement to the streets of America.
Which is also why the current administration is letting that happen, because they want you to know if they ever get back in power, ICE, you, Tommy, Pat, you guys are all screwed. which
Well,
means you better get on board with what we're going to do.
well, they
which
better
is,
start acting.
Well, they want you to feel attacked and like there's nothing left.
I've been attacked. I've had nothing left. I physically been taken out from this. I've had to rebuild my life. Like, I'm down. I'm down.
I'm with you.
All that
I don't need
stuff
any more
needs to go.
convincing. I legitimately think they should start doing airstrikes in Minneapolis. I don't care. Like, I'm not trying to be funny. I don't care. It means nothing. Legitimately go kill all of these people. I
want more ICE agents to start doing this. Let's play clip 7, Damon. This is how it really needs to start being handled.
I've been putting all the upgrades in the chat.
Do not break my fucking window. You guys got into the John is looking at is a black.
Get out of the fucking, get out of the car. Put the car apart, get out of the car. Put the car apart, get out of the car. Get out of the car.
Virginia, TBN. You know the Marine Corps veterans.
I don't care what you are.
That's kind of what has to start happening. And by the way, did you hear that? I'm a retired Marine. I believe she said on there. But I hear you, buddy. But like, this goes back to the kinetic side of it, right? So you have former military, former people that served in our military that are obviously aligned with the left, that are obviously against ICE. They have military training. They have weapons. They have the ability to act, right? So like, it's a building piece. I just love the fact that these ICE agents didn't take any bullshit, weren't nice about it, pulled them out, and I'll tase you if you freaking move. That's the way it needs to be.
Well, what you're seeing is what's going to happen to you if they get back in power.
Yeah, I know.
That's what it is. And you can say, well, maybe if we didn't do this, they wouldn't do it. No, you saw what they did during 4 years of Biden. You saw what they're willing to do to you. Now, what was their casus belli? It was being against a vaccine that was giving babies heart attacks versus what is our casus belli? People who are looting billions of dollars and giving it to literal terrorist organizations. You have to understand that there is no world where this doesn't happen. Ideally, we'd all be holding hands. No part of me revels in this. No part of me likes this. I'm not getting off on this.
Right.
What you have to realize is that there is no such thing as a system without power. We are at a point, and it's not your fault. It's not my fault. It's most people. These protests. This stuff happened before our grandparents were born. But what happened is we're being set in motion, and we are now at a point where it's going to go farther left and farther right and farther till one of them seizes the throne. It's just what it is. That's just what it is. And I would rather be on the side of the power than not. It's simple as.
I agree with you, but
there's a limited number of lifeboats, and there's a lot of people. It's at a point where you can rationalize it, you can break it down, you can cite scripture or biology or physics. It gets to a certain point of pure Darwinian survival. I'm going to get on the boat. I don't need to rationalize it to you.
No.
Ideally, we'd have enough boats, but we don't. I'm going to get on it. Take care. It's sad. It's sad that that's what this universe is.
Yeah. And that's where it's going. And unfortunately, if Trump doesn't get this shit handled and do what he needs to do, he is going to lose power in the midterms. He'll lose the election. And we all know the left plays to win. So they will come hard, arrest people. People will lose their shit. People will lose stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Freedoms, money, deplatforming, the whole nine. And they will go at it 100 times worse than they did in 2020. And it's just amazing how quickly their DOJ was able to round up the J6ers, but this Bondi DOJ can't round up shit. It's absolutely amazing. It's absolutely amazing, which shows me that this side is compromised in itself, which then leaves us to where do we fall in the hierarchy? We're just going to get stomped on, dude. The have and have-nots, we're going to get stomped on.
And I hate 5D chess because I think it's a retarded cope. That being said, where Trump's looking at this, knowing his side's corrupt and going, all right, let's accelerate it. How do you step aside? I need Bondi to do this. You have people start shooting. It's a shortcut. It's not right.
And then I want to play this last clip of an ICE agent telling the people what they're actually fighting for.
Yeah, I saw that one. And that's yeah.
Dude, such on the money, this guy. Such on the money. Let's play, Damon.
So you're reporting, we're here to arrest a child sex offender. And you guys are out here honking.
Oh, they're not. No, we're press. We're not
That
honking.
vehicle right there is honking and impeding our investigations while we're trying to arrest a child sex offender. That's who you guys are protecting. Insane. That's what we're doing.
So yeah, like legitimately, he's telling the people, back off, we're going to get a child sex offender, and they're being tailed, and the warning signs are out there so that these people can get into hiding or get away. It's completely absurd.
And this is the fault of the right, of thinking that the left just doesn't understand it. They know what they're doing. What was the first half of this show? They've industrialized and mainstreamed and streamlined, the corruption of children and pedophilia. They don't care. God bless that guy, but they don't care. The people protesting this, they know this. They don't care. There is no talking it through. The only thing that's going to work is through power. It's just what it is. They know that they are corrupting children. They don't give a shit. They think it's empowering. Yeah. That's what this is. And if that is the case, then I give Trump all the credit in the world. Let it get worse. Let the shooting start. Because that's the only way any of this shit's going to stop.
Yeah. It's coming. It's coming. When you think it's not going to get any worse, somehow we always find a way to make it worse. We find a way to increase the temperature, increase the volume. It's absolutely fascinating. We need the federal government. We need Trump to do what he needs to do, because the city and state in Minneapolis and Minnesota, they're not going to do it. They're stoking this. They're letting it go, right?
And if this is what Trump's plan is, I don't even blame him. Let it get worse. And that sucks, because what I'm implying is it's going to get worse, that ICE agent gets shot. That's not lost on me. I understand that.
You're right, man. Whew.
But it can't keep going back and forth.
You're right.
You have to have a reason to bring down the force of God. These videos, this stuff, you and I look at it and it appeals to us. We go, how could you interrupt a service? Hey, here's a guy, he's telling you they're going to arrest a pedophile. They don't care. That's the problem. Is we think that they just don't have this information. No, guys, see, 1 + 1 is actually 2. You guys thought it was 3. No, it's common mistake. No. They know it's not. They know it's 2. They don't care. That's it. Let it get worse. Let it get kinetic. I don't care. Do whatever it takes to save this country. I don't care. Legitimately, go bulldoze them. I don't care.
Because if we don't, this country will.
Because it's coming to you. That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
This isn't me just saying it and it's like 1970. Yes. It's like, hey, man, smoke a blunt and relax. No. It's coming if you don't do this. I don't care.
We're the canary in the coal mines, man. We've seen it. We know it. Other people have seen it. They know it. It's coming. It's coming.
It makes me think of this, right? All the arguments about whether or not we should or shouldn't have used the atomic bomb. And, with the Million Man invasion, my dad's dad was 18. He was going to be part of that. He would have died. I wouldn't be here, right? And then there's all the arguments, not even all incorrect, about how Japan was getting ready to surrender and blah, blah, blah. But even that is a false dichotomy that I hate when people get involved in about, well, should we have dropped it? Well, Japan was getting ready to surrender. I don't care if Japan was openly coming out and saying, and we had video evidence of saying, we surrender. Do you know why we did it? Because we could. We had a bomb and we had a plane, and they were submitted. They had nothing to defend themselves against. It doesn't matter if they were getting ready to surrender or if they vowed they would never surrender. Ultimately, guess what? We did it. What did Iran say the other day? We asked the United States to not come into our airspace without our permission. That's weak shit. So ultimately, it comes down to this: is we did it because we. That's the third option. No one ever talks about with the dropping of the nuclear bombs. It wasn't whether or not we should have. It's that we did, and no one could have stopped us. And that's raw power. You can dress it up in a cause, but guess what? If you didn't want any of this shit to happen, you wouldn't have attacked us. You don't get a say at the table anymore. I don't care if Admiral Hirohito is coming out and going, well, actually, we're thinking about defense. I don't care. How are you physically? Does a gun-free zone sign stop school shootings? No, what stops school shootings is someone with a gun shooting them. That's what this is. So I don't even care what the argument or the rationalization is. We saw who they were for 4 years. I don't care. I don't care. I get what Trump's going in to do. He's doing it, and it's hey, we have to have this because they're illegal immigrants. I don't need that anything, because the reality is this: they're getting thrown out of those cars, or you and I are. That's it. That you can dress it up for whatever you want. That's it. That's all it is.
I know, man. I know. People experience it.
And I know you know, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the counterpoint to this would be like, well, if we don't do this, maybe they won't do it to us. Hey, we're not doing this. We're doing this in response to what we saw for 4 years. This is the reaction. They did it first. They did this shit first.
We need to play to win, and if we don't play to win, we will lose.
You saw what they did. You saw stealing an election. You saw what they tried to do to Trump. You saw what they did to Charlie Kirk. You saw how they cheered that shit on.
Yep. Cheer the death of Charlie Kirk, and then Renee Good's their hero too. Like, it's absolutely their perception of reality is just upside down, and it's hard to believe. It's hard to figure out how we coexist.
No. It's completely real. They know what it is.
Yes.
Charlie Kirk was speaking as, you don't have to like him. You can think he's hateful, whatever. That's not warranted to be shot. You ran a car into a federal agent. You should be shot. They know it's not wrong. Their perception of reality is not upside down. They know the perception of reality is upside down is the mentally unwell dude, exposing himself to kids, and he's drooling and he shit himself. That's somebody whose perception of reality is upside down. Somebody's perception of reality that's not upside down is a pedophile that went to many, many lengths to make sure they didn't get caught. They're not upside down. They weren't, I didn't know I shouldn't kids. They knew exactly what they were doing. They're competent and they're malicious. And the sooner you understand that, the sooner you put them down like the dogs they are.
And with that, Tommy,
with that, I have great hope for the future of this country.
Would you like to pray us out, brother?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Saint Michael, the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God Almighty, cast into hell Satan and all the evil spirits that prowl about this earth, seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Tommy, thanks so much, man. Thanks for joining. Thanks for your insight. And thanks, everyone, for tuning in today. I hope you learned something.
Take it easy, brother. I'm out. I'll see you.
Have a good night, everyone.
Yep. Peace.
Later.
Rising from the fight for the forgotten and the free, exposing rigged machines, Kuma's lies, Dominion's deceit, pays a grand each day, shielding truth from corrupt halls, but he won't back down, standing tall through it all. Martin, Tina Peters break the chains that bind her tight, hand count votes and one day bring the fraud to light. No more mailing scams, no machines to steal the night, restore the people's voice, make Colorado right. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true, badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away, shrink the bloated state, let the people have their say. It's our rally call, truth and freedom rise and watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado, strong and proud, we'll be one man for the people, set our great state free. Help the single moms, bring back trade school strong, opportunity for youth, where the brave belong. Audit every NGO, ban the wolves that roam, reclaim our stolen land, bring the power home. Eric Kuma's fraud, Dominion's rigged design, expose the stolen votes, cross the dangerous line. No more victimhood, no chains on you and me. He's running for governor for real liberty. Smash the fraud machine, pardon heroes jailed for the have-nots. Rising truth will never fail. One warrior defies the corrupt elite. Colorado reborn, strong on our feet. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true, badass for Governor, lead us bold and true. Governor, freedom forever, Colorado. Rise up untamed in the heart of the fight where the wild ones roam. Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew.